All right, guys, let's talk about these Gators. Early signing days tomorrow. Um, I hate to tell you guys this, but this is not going to be a positive show today, and I'm sure most of y'all that follow the team like I do are aware of that. This one's going to be a little brutal, so I'm just going to get straight to it. The only reasonable or realistic prospects are Caden Jones, but heard he may go to Texas A&M. Platt, I'm sorry, tight end Stanford commit. Gators were in it for him. He's now trending towards Texas A&M, home state kid. Staying in state, not a surprise, but still another whiff by the staff. This staff seems to not be able to close well. They're good throughout the year recruiting. Built a solid base, solid class, but this is basically on baseline with what Florida's had the last 4 or 5 years. The only difference is better evaluations in this class, better base talent. Well, we say better evaluations. We haven't seen these kids play yet, but we're assuming that. All these kids will probably qualify and get in. That's where the other classes, a lot of the elite talent never qualified, never even got into school. So those classes were really more, if you really wanted to give their true ranking, they were more like top 20 classes, not top 10 under Mullen. But this recruiting right here is basically on par with what Muschamp and McElwain brought in. So it's kind of unfortunate that we're not able to close for some reason. It seems like NIL is really hurting Florida with the boosters not wanting to really put up and get in bidding wars with Miami. Miami's just cleaning house with us right now, mainly because they've got a billionaire lawyer that's throwing around tons of cash. But, we whiffed on Akunala, the offensive lineman. That was a huge miss. I really think Florida needed him bad for that run game. We saw how porous this team was and how bad this team is right now, and how, man, we need a major overhaul. We have major needs at every position on this roster, and I mean every position. The only spot on this entire roster that I would say that doesn't need anything, it needs depth, but it doesn't need talent, is running back. That's it, period, plain and simple. You're looking at a 5-6 win team again for 3 years straight, which is going to be a historical record for Florida to be that bad. Florida just is not able to close, guys. I don't know what it is. Now, it seems like when things get really bad, Napier pulls something out to change the narrative, to change the momentum. So I do look for Florida to surprise people with one commitment on early signing day. I do think they pull the wallet out, and maybe Desmond Ricks, he's still leading LSU, and Alabama's still in there, but a lot of people are saying the Gators are not out of it yet. Corey Raymond's on staff. That's a kid that I think Florida could pick up on early signing day, so look for Ricks to maybe come to the good guys, hopefully, come to the flagship university. I call us that, but we're at the bottom of the flagpole lately. Florida's really struggling. I don't know what this staff is doing. That bowl game was an abomination to Oregon State, 7 yards of offense and a half. Miller's not the answer. We literally have no quarterback on this roster right now that can make this team better than 4 wins. Miller is terrible. Man, he needs to transfer again, honestly, for a third time or a second time, and maybe go to a D2 or a smaller school, because that kid he does not have it at the D1 level. Still gonna have to wait. We do have Max Brown on the roster. We'll have to see. Maybe he develops next year and really shocks some people and comes on strong next year, but not getting my hopes up, man. It's just been hard to watch. 2 straight years of 6 and 7. It's just not Gators football. We just fallen so far down. I think Billy was just an average. I'd give this hire as of right now probably a C at best. I won't say at best. I'll give it a C. I mean, 6 wins, bowl game, top 15 recruiting class right now. But the fact that I'm even saying that's pretty sad. This class, a week ago was trending top 6, top 7. Right now we need to hope that Billy can close this out and get us back inside the top 10, just to really hold par with the seasons we've had for the last couple years. Without a top 10 class, we're trending even worse because his coaching is not good enough. His on-field play calling, game management before the half, coming out of half, has been the first four plays going out and first 4 plays going in have just been atrocious, guys. And I know y'all are watching the same thing I am, and you preach patience, but man, the eye test, there was enough talent on this roster to beat Texas A&M and South Carolina like a drum, okay? So you can't tell me this team should have lost to Kentucky, to Vanderbilt. Those were wins, guys. That was 8 wins. That's what we called for before the season. A decent coach gets us 8 wins with this roster we had. That defense was good enough to be a notch better than what Grantham produced last year, or at least hold par even with what Todd Grantham had last year. I mean, that defense should not have fallen off and dropped, guys. Excuse me. That defense should have stayed exactly where it was at as far as national ranking goes. It should have never dropped off as bad as it was. This staff, it feels at the moment. Now, again, these shows, I like to make them based on emotion, the ride of the roller coaster with some realism, thrown in there in the mix. Because this is a fan podcast. This is not, I'm not some analyst on ESPN. So I'm reacting like the rest of you guys, and it's just fun. It's part of it. Right now, it's a terrible time to be a Gator fan, and it sucks, and our rivals are, pushing our face in the mud, just like we would do them in the same situation. But it's all fun. But the biggest thing for me going forward that I would like to see, I'm just going to tell you guys what I'd like to see different, okay? Hall is Jordan Hall's trending Georgia. All these guys, Walker sticking with UCF, Patterson flipped to UCF, so we lost a commit. That's a depth piece. Guys don't like him, but he was still depth. He's gone. He's at UCF now. I wasn't upset about him leaving the class. I wasn't upset about the guys transferring. But I warned everybody on a message board, okay, you got 20-plus guys leaving. We lost, half a dozen last year. And the guys we lost last year were impact players, guys. Okay, I mean, Chris Bogle, Tyrone Hopper, those guys would have made the difference in this defense. I really believe holding the teams to 1 or 2 less touchdowns a game. Tyrone Hopper was an elite linebacker, okay? We're talking about a Harold Perkins type of linebacker that left and went to Missouri and had an all-SEC season at Missouri. Shut Georgia's offense down almost single-handedly by himself. The kid is a stud. So with those losses combined with this year's, what we're bringing in right now is not even close to adequate, okay? This is a good class, all right? What's really worrying to me is you see all the guys entering the transfer portal. You see all the names out there. Dude, they're committing left and right daily. Where the heck is Billy Napier and this army that he brought in? Where are they? Where are the offers at? We need transfers. Legit, like 20-plus transfers need to come in on top of this recruiting class. We've had one commit, guys. One. Banks, a defensive lineman, which is a major need from Louisville, which was a massive pickup. Kid's got loads of potential. He's very good. He hasn't proven himself yet, but potentially could be a difference maker on this defense. That's great. I was fired up about it. I was like, hell yeah, let's keep it going. But the fact of the matter is, man, we're not putting in the effort. I don't know what it is. I've even pondered, like, man, is this staff like, is someone else interested in pulling him to a different job or something? Like, this is weird. Like, it just doesn't, I don't think that's happening at all, but the lack of effort and the lack of passion to me, like his reactions after games, I want to see a Gator coach who cares, man. Somebody who calls himself out, holds himself accountable to the fans. These football teams and these schools are absolutely nothing without me and you, the people that turn the TVs on, the people that buy tickets and go to the games. These schools would amount to nothing. Their football teams would not exist without the fan base. I don't care what players say, they don't care more than us. Billy Napier, no one cares more than we do. I promise you, bro. I promise you, I do, and everybody watching this show right now, and everybody who's been a Gator fan since they were yay little bitty, cares more about the Gator football team than Billy Napier does. I'm sorry. He's getting $7 million. Do your job. Make the fans happy. Bring in the talent and produce with it. That's what we expect. And, and again, I know Gator fans, we got to adjust our expectations. One of the things I am going to say here, I kind of had like a moment, probably, I've had it, several times, but today reading some of the, message boards and reading some of the material out there, and what I've seen growing up being a Gator fan, look, Spurrier and Meyer were an outlier, okay? That was a decade of great Gator football, but that hasn't really been the norm, has it, guys? Look, we've had Muschamp, Zook, Mullen, McElwain, 4 coaches, decades of just incompetence, ineptness on offense or defense. We've had a couple nice years, up and down, very inconsistent, but let's just face it, we're anywhere from an 8 to 10 win team on our good years. We're a middle of the road SEC team now. We're not an elite school. We're an average to good football team, kind of like, if I'm being honest, man, Florida's kind of like the Auburn of the East, or you know, we're like the little brother to Georgia now. I mean, Georgia's an elite team. We're 4 recruiting classes away. I mean, Georgia's probably going to beat us for the next decade. I hate to say that, but we're legit like 4 good top 5 recruiting classes away from ever being able to close the gap with Georgia. And you guys got to understand, as poor as Napier is calling plays and managing games, without that type of top 3 recruiting, you're not beating that team ever. Georgia is going to be a dynasty like Bama. They've taken that mantle, and they're running with it. And I don't see Florida closing that gap. What we need is for Florida to beat the dang teams we're supposed to beat, like freaking Vanderbilt and Florida State. You know, just compete. And win these one-score games, man. We had so many one-score games we could not win. We couldn't win. Florida, if you notice, we were good enough that people expected us to beat South Carolina and Kentucky because we did it for so long. It just became the norm. Last 6 years, man, it's not that way anymore. Florida's a middle of the road, lower tier SEC East school. I'd say middle of the pack in the SEC East, but as a whole, we're on the lower end with the Arkansas and all that. I think Florida fans just need to try to have some patience. Let these recruits come in. Now, again, I think the media and the national media and us as fans should keep holding this, let's not be vitriolic, let's not be hateful, but let's still call out and hold the staff, hold the coaching, hold the administration, the school accountable for the product on the field. You can tweet out or, post whatever you want about the team. When it's bad, call it out. But don't trash them at every turn. If there's good, there's good. Again, I love the class we have. I love the kids we have. I hope you guys stick with us and stay committed. Again, I really like the kids in this class, but the one thing that's really been the most disappointing is the transfer portal. You guys see what Florida State, Norvell's doing over there. We're like flip-flopped, okay? Our recruiting class crushes theirs all day, every day. It's way better than Florida State's and high school recruiting, but they are cleaning house in the transfer portal. They did it last year too. You guys see how good they were this year, only 3 losses. Florida State's going to be contending for an ACC title next year with Travis back, and those backs, they're coming back. They're reloading in the transfer portal, already picked up a couple commitments. That's what Florida needs to do. It is a must. We have to have these guys. I did want to let you know McCall, Coastal Carolina quarterback, has been in contact with Florida. Auburn was the favorite. Heard there's some grade issues or credits or something transferring over. They didn't have the degree that he was looking for over there, so Florida is in the picture. Again, with the way the staff has been, I'm not very confident, but right now that's the only guy I've heard at transfer at quarterback, and you guys got to be freaking out about that because we have nobody. And it's unbelievable that we're not in more communication with Leary, Hartman, and all these other guys. Maybe there's back channel stuff behind the scenes. But right now, the only person I've heard is McCall. I really like Pratt out of Tulane, but I heard he's sticking there. So, guys, I hope we get McCall. The kid was a baller at Coastal Carolina. That really changes my outlook for next year if we can pick him up at quarterback. Because, look, I'm not opposed to Jaden Rashada coming in and balling out and being a starter as a true freshman. If he's that dang good and can propel us and carry this team to 8 wins, I'm happy with 8 wins next year, especially after this debacle of the season we just had, and with what the losses and putting together a brand new team. I think that's the expectation next year is 8 wins or bust. I think he's pretty much got to win 8 games next year, or go find a different job, dude. Florida's good enough, and we should be able to expect 8 wins this season, at least 8, 9 wins. We can't expect SEC titles for another 2 to 3 years, or national titles, but man, look, dude, you start getting to 9 wins, you're talking about maybe possibly being ranked at top 12 with that 12-team playoff in year 3. Florida's got a shot at being in there, and that's where we can actually enjoy those 9, 10-win seasons a little bit more. But some of the other guys, like I said, Walker staying at UCF, man, there's just really, that's the only prospects we were really in it for. Hall, Ricks, Platt, I'm sorry, I keep getting them two mixed up. Caden Jones, he might be the only commitment the Gators get tomorrow. I'm trying to think, was there anybody else? We had a 24 kid on campus recently. Lagway was tweeting about him. I think the thing is we spent so much money on Lagway and Rashada for quarterback. And again, I have no factual evidence to back this up, but I'm feeling like our NIL is super weak. And we threw so much money to get the elite quarterbacks because that does make the difference on a team with lesser talent. That maybe we're lacking the funds to close things out with these guys here at the end. LSU and Miami just have more money. I don't think it's that we're getting out recruited. I think that we're getting out, paid. But we'll see these guys in a year in the transfer portal, and they'll probably be Gators. The most fun thing about tomorrow would be if Billy does what Billy did with Rashada and ends up flipping Okuna. If it was all like a troll job or something, man, how dope would that be? But I'm not getting my hopes up. But anyways, guys, that's the news that I got for you guys on the transfer portal with quarterback. Legit, there's only like 2 offers out there for 2 offensive linemen that I've seen. I think one of them's already committed to Florida State. So yeah, not a lot of action. Florida's probably going to whiff on everybody on early signing day, which is depressing. We do have National Signing Day in February, so maybe we'll have a couple Plan B, Plan C guys that we can pick up on after that. I do think maybe there's a possibility that after some of the bowl games, after early signing day is over and we see what we have in the class, they reevaluate kind of like an NFL team does, and Billy gets after it like 100 in the transfer portal, and you start seeing offers go out left and right. So maybe look for that. But, there was nothing about that bowl game that really has me looking forward to next year. Besides the bowl game was meaningless, doesn't matter. It was a big win for Oregon State, obviously, in their program. That was a really good team, and it just didn't seem like we put any thought into the game plan or anything like that. I think we could have ran the ball more effectively. I mean, dang. You're missing Torrance on the offensive line. Cameron Waits is like 6'8", 305 pounds. We couldn't even move the line of scrimmage against a Pac-10 team. Guriage was in the game. I mean, you're talking about like legit the same offensive line we've had all year, and we couldn't even run the freaking ball, man. I mean, I just don't get it. Just basic run plays, no creativity. Anyway, I'm done with depressing you guys today. Go Gators. I really hope I'm wrong about a lot of this stuff. I hope we have a good signing day. Hope we get some big name transfers to kind of bring some positive juju, some good energy. But appreciate you guys' time. Go Gators and have a good day. Thanks.